Hey guys, Sir Skeptic here. Look, I don't have a lot of time. I'm laying low right now. I'm in my undisclosed underground bunkered location. Look, they know. Alright? They know that I know. I tried to get all the pieces to fit together.
Jesus Christ, Skeptic.
The world is a globe. But is it? Have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen the world curve? Have you ever seen the roundness of the world? Look around you, it's fucking flat everywhere you look. I would be doing myself a disservice.
What the hell is this?
Mini Skeptic, I've had my eyes open.
Oh, no, not you now.
Yeah, look, I've been watching videos from the Flat Earth Society. Look at this one.
Back with another video for you. A little opportunity to say goodbye to the magical spinning ball of gravity and bullshit. And I also want to show you some lies that they're willing to tell and what we are all willing to believe.
What the hell is this garbage that you're showing me here?
Think about it. If the world really was round, wouldn't there be some sort of way for us to find that out on our own? Some sort of evidence we can search out for ourselves?
What?
Yet every time we try to do some sort of an experiment to prove the world is round, we just see flatness everywhere. Look, have you ever seen the horizon? It's flat.
Did you check all the facts? Why don't you just check all the facts, please?
Fine. To prove that I'm being a proper skeptic, how about I go through this video here?
I did want to point out, in case anybody didn't know, that I don't know shit, in case you didn't know that. And second, neither do you.
You see, Mini Skeptic, that's a really honest approach to this subject matter. He's admitting that he doesn't know everything, and I'll admit too that I don't know everything. In fact, I don't know much about the flat earth subject. That's why I've been avoiding it for so long.
In my videos, if you do see something you don't agree with, or you don't believe, or you have evidence against, comment.
That's what I do.
I don't care what the established belief is. I don't care what we were all taught. It doesn't matter to me anymore because human beings lie, and when money's involved, they lie constantly.
Well, I can honestly see that being a concern when you're dealing with a corporation that's trying to sell you something, but I don't know, NASA really has no reason to lie to you, do they?
Don't bring me any of that stupid gravity bullshit that doesn't work and people will sit there and argue back and forth with when they have no idea even what it means.
I'm sorry, are you saying that you will not take gravity as evidence that the world is round? Gravity is really good evidence that the world is round.
Number one, it's impossible.
No, it's not. Why is it impossible?
Number two, it can't be shown to be true.
Can't be shown to be true? We've known that gravity has existed since long before we knew what gravity was.
You're telling me the same force that keeps my feet glued to the Earth's surface also keeps the moon in orbit around the Earth, and same thing that keeps us in orbit around the sun. That right there makes no sense.
I see. It makes sense if you know what gravity is. See, Newton told us how gravity worked, but he wasn't able to figure out what gravity was. It wasn't until Einstein came along and told us that gravity is when large masses sitting in space displace space the same way a boat displaces water in a bathtub. Normally, space has no properties, no gravity, no direction, no up or down, but when you add a planet or a planetoid or a sun into space, you basically bend space. You push space out away from that object, and space tries its best to force its way back to where it used to be, but it can't because there's an object in the way, and instead ends up pushing other planets and ourselves down towards that surface. Now, the reason the moon doesn't come down and hit the Earth is because it's traveling so fast that it's escaping the world's gravity, but not fast enough to escape the world's gravitational pull, and that's why it is in orbit.
Why aren't I orbiting the Earth? Do I need to get fatter? If I get real fat like the moon, then I can orbit the Earth?
Oh, no. I can help you orbit the Earth right now. Quick, get in. I'll fire you off real fast. You see these guys right here? They look like they're weightless, and technically they are, but they are orbiting the Earth. The only reason they're not quickly crashing into the Earth's surface is because they're traveling so fast they're escaping the Earth's gravitational pull.
I don't have a team, as all I'm doing is searching for truth and using my own eyes, which works pretty well. You should try it.
Yeah, but using your own eyes to observe what's happening only gives you such a small piece of the picture. You should probably read some of that gravity research. I mean, gravity has been established for hundreds of years now.
Of course, you'd have to get your head out of Richard Dawkins' lap and stop masturbating to the globe.
Oh, good one. Except Richard Dawkins is an evolutionary biologist. He doesn't study cosmology or physics.
So why am I talking flat Earth? Well, it's because I wanted to start from a place of certainty. And to me, it's a certainty.
How can you be certain? Have you seen the edges of the Earth yourself? myself. Even I'm not certain, and I accept that the world is round, even though I've never seen the roundness of the globe with my own eyes.
So if you take a look at the screen now, you'll see a interesting setup for a meeting. This is the meeting where they sign the Antarctic Treaty, and you'll notice all of these losers sitting in a triangle, and in the middle of the triangle is another triangle. Looks like the all-seeing eye. It's got some shrubbery. Could be the Earth. Could be filled with slaves that all believe a lie.
Oh yeah, no, that's most definitely true, but why don't we stick to scientific certainties here and logic instead of just making shit up? You're literally just making this shit up. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Why would they want to promote this lie, these globalists? Why would they want to tell us God doesn't exist? So they can rule us, and maybe they're worshiping someone.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't they just pretend to be the rulers and the leaders appointed by God? I mean, for thousands of years, people pretended to be the avatars of God ruling the people underneath them. If they really are worshiping Satan, like you imply here, isn't it going to be kind of awkward to explain to everybody, oh, by the way, we do believe in a God all of a sudden, and it's this one, even though we've been telling you for years that God doesn't exist.
Speaking of Satan, you think he's telling anybody to discredit Flat Earth?
If some of these folks were around when Columbus set sail, they must have been founding members of the Flat Earth Society. They would not have believed that the world was round.
Whatever you say, Osama.
I'm done. I'm done.
So let's get into some of the proofs. First, we got your magical spinning ball of fun on the screen, and you'll notice that it is the winter, and so the southern tip, or Antarctica, is pointed directly at the sun, where it remains for the entire 6 months as the Earth processes around the sun.
No. At no point does Antarctica ever directly point at the sun, and it's not for 6 months. Only for a period of 3 weeks does Antarctica get all day long sun. However, that is at such an extreme angle that it barely is enough to make Antarctica warmer. Even if you use this picture that you yourself provide here, you can clearly see that the sun is pointing directly at South America, not Antarctica.
So does anybody else realize that the tops and bottom of the globe would be where the ice caps are? But since they've tilted it now, we've got the Antarctica in the sun all the time, yet it's a huge, unimaginable, cold continent.
The tops and bottom are where the... Oh, you mean the tops and bottom of that shadow. Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense because the pivot point has not changed.
And also, if you look at the equator, I was watching a video yesterday I thought was interesting that shows the way the water does drain on the equator and northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, yet the equator goes right through the middle of the Earth, and with the tilt, it wouldn't work that way. The equator is at an angle.
Dude, what the hell are you talking about? Are you talking about how the world's centrifugal force from its spin forces more water towards the equator? How would that change at all because of the tilt? The centrifugal force is still on the same point. The equator is the center point of where the world spins. That doesn't change because of the tilt. All that has happened is the world is spinning on a tilt. It has not changed its spin point. What the fuck is happening here?
This is where the ice caps would be if the Earth was really on a tilt, and you'll see the red line which represents the tilt is where the ice caps are now, pointed directly at the sun. Makes a lot of sense, I guess, if you're stupid.
Okay, there's so much wrong here. Okay, first of all, that red line, that is the pivot point. That is the point in which the world spins around. That doesn't change because of the tilt. Also, second of all, the sun is not up there. You have changed the picture from a South Pole tilt to a North Pole tilt, trying to confuse us probably. The sun is not that high up. The sun is directly on the left in the center, right here. It is not up here. It is right here. The sun is pointing directly at northern Africa, not directly at the North Pole. The only way the North Pole and the South Pole would change position is if the pivot point of the spin of the Earth changes, and that at no point has ever changed, as far as we know in Earth history. Ever.
I guess a lot of people have had questions about the sun as it appears to move throughout the celestial sky. If you take a look here, I drew some green sight lines from the Earth, and I put those 3 little squares in the back, the red, the white, and the yellow. And you'll notice that as the Earth moves, so too does our sight line, which they call parallax. So this is something that I wanted to show because it is possible that many of you globetrotters don't know what you believe. So you'll notice that easily seen there in this little depiction, the sightline moves.
Yeah, as a really crude example of how this parallax observation system works, I would say yes, this is a good example. Even though the scale is completely off, I'll concede that this is how the system works.
Next, I'm going to show you what you actually believe. You have to believe that the sightline, as shown here in the bottom left, never moves. Meaning, see all those sightlines, the blue lines that go through, we got 2 going through the green box, 2 going through the red box, and 1 going through the yellow. Imagine that no matter where the Earth goes, even though it travels 500 million miles around the sun, it never changes its parallax. So you'll see I just swung the Earth out a little bit to the right there and added the gray sightlines, and look how much it changes.
What? The moon is further away from the Earth than that. Those are supposed to be stars that you're showing well in the distance. 500 million miles is nothing compared to the millions or billions of light years there are between us and those stars. How far away do you think those stars are? They're not millions of miles away. They're not billions of miles away. They're not trillions of miles away. They are thousands, millions, if not billions of light years away. That is exponentially further away than this scale model is showing.
No longer are any of the boxes being hit by the same sightline, yet in all the travels of the Earth, the stars remain exactly fixed.
In order to get that big of a difference in our perspective of distant stars, we would have to travel thousands of light years, and no person has ever done that in their lifetime.
As Johnny Cochran would say,
it doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
I'm going to take that as meaning that you're pro O.J. Simpson.
Now you'll get to see some photos that clearly show you what the flat Earth looks like in the background there. Until you add the GoPro camera, in which case now we live on a little tiny sphere. So this is what GoPro does for you. So when you see these kind of images, do know that they are bullshit and they are nowhere near matching our reality.
I'm sorry, are you saying that people have used aerial footage from a fisheye lens as proof that the world is curved? These are some stupid people that you're dealing with.
Therefore, they should all be trashed, thrown away, gotten rid of, ignored.
Oh yeah, I agree. We should just throw all that out because it's useless. You know, forget that somebody can put that in their photo album and say, hey, I was up in a balloon. No, fuck you. You shouldn't have used a fisheye lens. You are ruining science, you asshole. You are part of the problem.
How about micrometeoroids? Ever heard of them? They fly around space like crazy. Supposedly, a ton of them hit the Earth every year. And in order to do that, they have to go through the atmosphere. So imagine somewhere like, I don't know, the moon that doesn't have an atmosphere to protect it. How much would it get hit by these micrometeoroids?
Oh yeah, tons. Are you going to imply that astronauts would die? Is that where you're going with this?
Wikipedia tells us that the moon is hit by 10 to 20,000 tons a year. We'll take the smaller number, just to be generous. 10,000 tons times 2,000 pounds is 20 million pounds of micrometeoroids are blasting the moon every year, which you can actually break that down and get 54,795 a day, or 2,283 an hour, 38 a minute, or about 0.63 pounds a second. But their weight is in a gram. They're only a gram, but they're going 22,000 miles per hour. Bullets go 1,500 miles per hour. So a micrometeoroid is 15 times faster. It would go right through you. And at 454 grams per pound, that means there's about 454 bullets per pound of micrometeoroid flying at you at all directions and from all directions in space. So I'm sure they were able to avoid it. I mean, it's only 24 million a day, or 1 million an hour, or 17,000 a minute, or 288 a second. So now let's see if the Apollo astronauts were good at dodging bullets. So let's see how many bullets Mr. Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong were able to dodge up there on the moon, Apollo 11, in between Buzz Aldrin saying that he was taking things to the moon in his pockets and selling them because he's broke and drinking too much. He had to dodge only 22.5 million bullets. Apollo 12, 32 million. Apollo 14, 34 million. Apollo 15, 69 million. And we go up from there, 75 million to 77 million in the final Apollo 17.
You missed a pretty important variable there, the size of the astronauts as they relate to the size of the moon. According to your math, the astronauts were this big. Oh, they must have been holding on for dear life to that little moon.
This image here, you'll see they've got the cargo bay doors open. The astronauts are pretending to do something. And I'm sure that the inside of the Space Center really could use all those micrometeoroids flying in there at crazy speeds. I'm sure they don't damage anything. Everything's just fantastic.
But satellites and the International Space Station do get damaged by micrometeoroids all the time.
So if you ask me my feelings on NASA and GoPro,
you know, I can almost understand your theory that NASA is lying, but GoPro is just trying to sell cameras to surfers. They're not trying to lie to people.